The timeline of the Alta controversy and other events that centers around the conflict. In 1968, the NVE planned to make a dam and a power plant that would go near the lakes of Norway. In 1973, the group called the Alta Committee for the Preservation of the Alta Cantokino watercourse were formed to help spread information about the plans about the construction. In 1974, the NVE had presented their blueprints of both the dam and the power plants that they were planning to construct to the communities that left concerns from communities. In 1976, the local Cantokino and Alta administrations are against the NVE's plan due to concerns about the safety of their wildlife. In 1978, the group called the Movement Against the Regulations of the Alta Cantokino watercourse was formed to help spread concerns about both the dam and the power plant. In 1979, the constructions of both the dam and the power plants are ready to go, and the Sami people are ready to protest by blocking the machines and began a hunger strike. In 1980, the Alta Cantokino conflict has been taking notoriety as it has brought some debate to the protesters. In 1981, the Sami movement is created as a way to preserve the people of Norway to claim for their rights. The NVE have gotten the police involved to push all the protesters away by force and during the constructions that disturbed the reindeer's mating and migration. In 1982, the Supreme Court of Norway have dismissed the complaints for the constructions, and there were a few attempts from the Sami activists to blow up the bridge that was over the Tver River, which came as unsuccessful. In the mid-1980s, there was a heated debate about the Sami situation that had made both the Sami people and the Norwegians being paranoid by the term extremism out of fear. In 1986, on April 26, there was a breakdown at a power plant in Chernobyl that affected the wildlife of these southern Sami lands, since the plants there, specifically the lichens, have absorbed the radioactivity which affected the reindeers. In 1987, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the NVE, and the construction of the power plant was finished. In 1989, the Sami parliament was formed in response to knowing that the Samis does have rights as indigenous people. In 2005, the impact left from the Alta controversy have also led to the Finnmark Act, which means that the act helps give ownerships of both the land and the water area of the Finnmark country, or Lapland, but it does not cover the fishing rights, the mining rights, or the oil rights. This helps the Sami people of Norway with their rights to self-determination and control over the natural resource. And last but not least, the Sami communities of today. In today's day and age, the Sami people have their ups and downs. The Sami peoples are trying to adapt their teachings for new generations. However, the Sami people are still facing three issues. They're still facing racism, exploitative tourism, and the constructions of other things like the railroads. The Sami peoples are preserving their cultures and teaching the people about the Sami traditions and cultures. Preserving the Sami cultures. The Sami people's ancient way of life is starting to disappear due to snowmobiles and helicopters that are replacing their traditional methods of herding the reindeers over the years. For issues that are related to the Sami people, the launching of the Sami parliament is one big step towards the self-government of the Sami people. In 2011, Sweden's constitution was improved to help affirm the obligation of the public power to help promote the opportunities to both preserve and develop the Sami people's culture and social life. Every year, there is a day dedicated to the Sami people of Norway called the Sami National Day, which is always held on February 6th. Within this special day, the Sami people do wear traditional clothing, eat the Sami traditional foods, and fly the Sami flags. Current issues. Even though things do look bright for the Sami people, they still have a long way to go for their journeys to both their recognition and self determination. Along with their fears of the ancient ways of life disappearing, they also fear that their language will one day be gone as time would go by. In recent years, the Sami people also find themselves in a situation that concerns them. In 2018, although they were proud of sharing the teachings and cultures to the visitors, the Sami people are also concerned that said tourists would end up visiting igloos and riding the husky sleds in Lapland and spreading both the inaccurate imagery and the misinformation of the Sami people that are harmful to their culture, which they refer to as exploitative tourism. Last year, the Sami people were concerned about the starting of the construction of a railroad on Lapland, worrying that it would be the end of the Sami people. Adapting to modern times. Even though they are being protective about their cultures, the Sami people are trying their best to adapt to help teach people about their cultures and backgrounds. Today, even though the Sami people are living with modern ways, they are interested in joik or yoke, which is traditional Sami singing, Duroji, traditional Sami handicraft, and the Sami language. They try to make YouTube music videos to help teach people the Sami language. Speaking of Sami languages, there are courses within the Amea and Uppsala University where the people could take to learn about the Sami language. The Sami people has their own media to help them report on issues that brings concerns from the Sami people. The media in general are newspapers, Moitaleji that ran from 1873 to 1875, Sagat that runs from 1956 to present, the Sami Agi that ran from 1975 to today, the Minagi, the Asu, the Gaba, which is the magazine for women, the Leave Dolji, which is a children's magazine, S, which is a youth magazine, and Nuoltaneste, which is a religious periodical, along with a radio station like the NRK Sami Radio and TV programming. These media all help people with the Sami language. And the Sami music of today is a contemporary one that is often a mixture of yoik with rock, pop, or even hip hop music. Okay, now that we're near the conclusion, let me tell you what's my inspiration for this video project. What inspired me to write about the Northern Sami is from last November when I went to a movie theater to watch the 2019 Disney animated movie Frozen 2. The then recent anime film features a fictional indigenous tribe that lives in the Enchanted Forest. The tribes are called the Northandra, which were inspired by the real-life indigenous tribe, the Sami people. When brainstorming on choosing the group that I am doing a video project on, I was thinking about that movie and the indigenous group that the filmmakers and animators were inspired on. And now the brief comparison between Frozen 2 and the Sami culture. Before I tell you the other reason why I chose the group, let me briefly discuss the other reason why Frozen 2 is my inspiration for this. And spoiler warnings for those who have not watched the movie yet. Like I mentioned before, the fictional indigenous tribe in the film called the Northunder tribe is inspired by the Sami people. The reason being is because the people at the Walt Disney Company made an agreement with the Sami Council and Sami parliaments of Scandinavia to bring the Sami-inspired elements into the film. In the film, Anna and Elsa's grandfather, King Runard, built a dam in the Enchanted Forest. Later in the films, the girls actually found out that the dams were actually made to weaken the forest so that King Runard could attack the Northandra. This situation was claimed to be inspired by the Alta controversy that happened in between 1979 to 1987. And the other reason why I chose this is the dark history of the Sami people sounds familiar. Along with Frozen 2 that inspired me to make the project, there are a few connections of their dark history of the Sami people with the dark history of the First Nations people. While I was doing my research for this project, the Sami boarding schools did sound familiar, since as far as my knowledge for Indigenous people go, the First Nations people of Canada were in the same situation as the Sami people, the only difference being Canada has residential school, which functions the same way as the Sami's boarding school, like not allowing to speak the native language and being abused by the priest that runs the schools. And the Alta controversy did remind me of the Oka situation in Montreal in the early 1990s, the Idle No More movement in 2012, and the Wet'suwet'en protest that happened earlier in 2020. Both those events and the Alta controversy does have things in common, like having concerns that involves the water-related utilities or involving the indigenous lands, and having their protesters being escorted by the police force, which they even go as far as forcing them to move from the premises. In conclusion, the Sami people have their ups and downs throughout the years. They first survived from the end of the Ice Age era and years later have had encountered with the outsiders. They have been through the religious conversion, the Sami boarding school, and the altar controversy. And to this day, they are trying to preserve their cultures and their language to keep the Sami culture alive and well. If you have any questions on my presentation here, please comment down below. And if you like the presentation, please comment down below. And thank you for your time, and I'll see you guys later.